Coming up on Tech News today, how not to brick the new Wii U. Hint, it means being Ryan Shrout. Also, more leaks about the next Xbox. And is OS X getting Siri and Apple Maps? All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Monday, November 19th, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ring Central. We do everything in the cloud. That's why we love our cloud-based phone system. Ring Central has zero startup costs, and Ring Central is $20 a month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial. Buy one desk phone, get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use our promo code TWiT. And by Mailroute, email filtering in the cloud for companies and resellers of any size. Mailroute offers live support and one-click sign-up. For free Postini migration and 10% off the life of your account, visit mailroute.net, click the sign-up button, and enter the promo code TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show where we keep you up to date on the most important stories in the tech world, starting each time with the top 10 stories of the day in the news fuse. Nintendo launched the Wii U in North America yesterday. The game console sells for $249 for a version with 8 gig of storage and $349 for the version with 32 gigs, which also gives you a free copy of Nintendo Land and a stand for the Wii tablet controller. Both versions come with a massive 5 gigabyte software update that takes over an hour to install. Some new Wii U owners report interrupting the install with a power outage or internet disruption can brick the console, so be careful.
Intel's Paul Otellini is going to retire from his esteemed post as president and CEO of Intel next year, 2013. The time frame will give the board of directors about 6 months to look for a worthy successor. The board also said it's open to either internal or external candidates for the job, so they probably don't have anybody in mind yet. Otellini will retire after almost 40 years of employment at the company.
You know, here's Steve Sinofsky looking for a job. Anyway, Xbox World published all kinds of details about the next Xbox. The magazine calls it the Xbox 720, and it says that it will have a Blu-ray drive, the ability to watch and record television, a new version of the Kinect, and the 720 would have a new controller, which has previously been rumored to have an HD touchscreen.
Cisco announced Sunday it will pay $1.2 billion to buy Meraki, a company started by MIT grads and backed by Google and Sequoia, among others. Meraki provides cloud control and security for Wi-Fi networks and mobile devices. In fact, if you've used Wi-Fi at a Starbucks, you've used a Meraki service.
Last week, a report made the rounds that Apple would be delaying the new 21.5 and 27-inch thin iMacs because of an issue with the welding process in the iMac's aluminum body. Although 9to5Mac now has sources that say, no, they'll be shipping on time after all. However, iMacs launching on time doesn't mean they're going to be available right away. Outside the U.S., for example, the new iMacs will likely be in short supply through the end of the year.
Samsung has filed with an intellectual property tribunal in Korea seeking to invalidate a bunch of LG OLED patents. Samsung says those patents lack innovation. Now, back in September, LG sued Samsung over violating 7 of the patents Samsung is now seeking to get invalidated.
9to5Mac's reliable sources are at it again with a believable rumor that the next version of OS X 10.9 could come with Siri and Apple Maps. The sources report early builds of 10.9, possibly codenamed Lynx, are still under development, but currently include the 2 services.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me, isn't it? My computer's
sure is.
being a little weird. 1 second. Please open tab. All right. The U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston has approved a $22.5 million fine that Google has agreed to pay in order to settle FTC claims that it illegally bypassed user privacy settings in Safari. Google and the FTC reached the settlement agreement in August when Google agreed to pay the fine because it, quote, placed an advertising tracking cookie on the computers of Safari users who visited sites within Google's DoubleClick advertising network. It It's also the largest fine that the FTC has ever imposed against a single company.
The Verge points to a thread at WP Central where users of Windows Phone 8 devices from HTC and Nokia all report random reboots of their phones. The Verge reports a phone they were testing rebooted on more than one occasion. A thread on Microsoft support forums regarding the issue has more than 65 replies.
There's a bug in the latest version of Android. Now, if you try to input a contact's birthday, you'll find that there's no option to select December as the month. The bug affects the Android 4.2 People app. Google's working on a fix that will hit in the next update.
This episode of Tech News Today brought to you by Ring Central. When we built our studio here in Petaluma, this new studio that we've been in for a little over a year, we chose to do as much as we could through the cloud. We didn't want to bring in a bunch of expensive old-fashioned hardware that's just going to be obsolete one day soon. So instead of running a big old PBX system in the basement, Russell, our IT guy, said, get a cloud-based phone system through Ring Central. It was a no-brainer. We love Ring Central. Zero startup costs, no PBX hardware to install or maintain, and Ring Central allows us to easily customize all of our call handling. Our producers can get their voicemail in their email. And we can even get all our fax messages right on our smartphones. You can start right now if you want to try it out. Don't take our word for it. Get a 30-day risk-free trial and take advantage of a special offer for our listeners. When you buy one desk phone, get a second desk phone free up to 20 phones. So call this number designated for our listeners, 800-543-9980. That's 800-543-9980. Once again, 800-543-9980. Or you can also go to ringcentral.com and use promo code TWiT. That's ringcentral.com, promo code TWiT. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Got a couple guests joining us today. First of all, host of NSFW show, Frame Rate, Scam School, and more, Brian Brushwood joining us. Thanks, man, for getting up early and joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it was a very near thing because you had a knack. As soon as I took a bite of my celery, you, of course, started to introduce me. And so it was a race, and I just won.
Congratulations on winning the celery introduction race.
Yes.
Also joining us from PCPerspective.com, Mr. Ryan Shrout. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing pretty good. Also host of This Week in Computer Hardware on this very network.
That is correct. Check it out. Always on twit. What is it? twit.tv/Twitch?
TWICH.
TWICH. Let's start off. One of the reasons Ryan was excited about coming on the show is the Wii U came out here in North America on Sunday, flying off the shelves. There's gray market sales already. You pretty much can't get one by walking into a store, even online, unless you pay extra. Sales are anywhere from $100 above retail, all the way up to a $3,000 one on eBay. In fact, there's even one on eBay that is a bundle of a 10-pack of Twinkies and the Nintendo Wii U Deluxe for $5,000.
Hard to find things, put them together.
Yeah,
Yikes.
exactly. And the Twinkies aren't that hard to find right now. Software update is what's causing the problems, though. As we mentioned, 5 gigabytes is what the reported size of the download is. It takes you more than 1 hour in most cases to download an update. And a lot of users reporting bricked consoles if they disconnected the power. Now, you know you never disconnect the power during an update, but it's taking so long that a lot of folks are saying, well, I just want to play a game because I can play a game without downloading the update. I'll download the update later. I'm excited about my new Wii U console. They unplug it, they plug it back in, and nothing happens. Ryan, you took the risk of disconnecting the power during your update. What happened?
Actually, nothing happened. Ours worked fine. We did not have, well, any issues. Obviously, we're having issues now, but with the system, we had no issues. We pulled the plug on it because we did want to play games, and it all just worked okay when we rebooted it.
So you lucked out. I guess it's a luck of the draw sort of thing. In that huge update, what you get are a lot of patches to the system, some additional updates. One thing you'll get is Netflix, though if you're looking forward to the rest of the TV service, that's TVII, that's going to include the ability to create a specific guide for your cable TV subscription, give you some DVR control for your TiVo, add in Hulu Plus and Amazon subscriptions. That's not coming until December, but Netflix was very insistent to point out that they are available now as long as you apply this update. Brian, I know you're one of the people really excited about the TV service.
Sure.
What do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, I'm first of all, this is a very decidedly un-Nintendo launch. Nintendo is in my mind second only to Apple in the precision with which it narrowly targets its releases and usually nails it. But you got so many things that are messed up and just kludgy about the Wii U. Like the Wii U doesn't upscale existing Wii games, something that the Dolphin emulator already can do to upscale all that content to high resolution format. You got the fact that there's a giant 5 gigabyte download that, of course, the breaking issue is a problem. You got the fact that the TV service, which of course was the thing that I was most excited about. I wanted this thing not even to play video games, but to be the one box to rule them all for my television viewing experience. And after making what we on Frame Rate thought was a very bold proclamation about what arrangements they'd have with all the different content providers, essentially just calls backsies and says, sometime in December. I have gone from being at 110% excitement on this to reserved. Like at this point, I do not have an order in, and my jury's totally out on whether or not I'm going to even get one.
Well, do you think Nintendo should have simply delayed the launch then? If they knew that they needed a 5 gigabyte update and that the whole TV section doesn't work and it doesn't have all these killer features at launch, should Nintendo have delayed the introduction of the Wii U, or should they just say, look, it's out now, you can get it before the holidays, and it's going to get better, but you can get it now?
Well, some of the things they could have done, there's a lot of things that are just the realities of a major product release that you can't handle in advance, and you can't predict the fact that you're going to have to make changes to the firmware. Stuff like the 5 gigabyte download is not that big a deal. However, they should have known a month ago. I think we're less than a month away from, or maybe just about a month from when they announced the TV service. If that wasn't going to be available at launch, they should have not made hay on that at that moment. They should have delayed or waited until they had the arrangements in place. Of course, we don't know why they're delaying the TV service to begin with. Again, this is the kind of thing I would expect from Microsoft, from a highly balkanized corporation where you got all these different entities that don't know what the other one is doing, not from something that usually presents everything so polished the way Nintendo usually does.
Ryan, I know that you guys at PC Perspective and a bunch of other places like AdTech did teardowns of the Wii U. Did you find anything surprising or particularly interesting when you took the thing apart?
Not really. Nintendo had already done a teardown of sorts on their particular, on the hardware. They showed the multi-chip module that had the CPU from IBM, the GPU from AMD on it. What we did find was there are 4 different wireless antennas inside of it. One set was for Wi-Fi, 802.11bgn, and then one of them was actually how they communicate with the gamepad. And it turns out they're using a version of Miracast, a 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, to stream data to the gamepad. And that immediately got people's attention in terms of this might be a hackable thing now. We might be able to use this gamepad for other purposes if it's based on that Miracast standard.
That's pretty cool. I want to see what people come up with. All right, let's move on to a little more rumory stuff, but still in the game console space. Xbox 720 and some leaks coming from, what is it, Xbox World, I think?
It's Xbox World. Shall we go to the rumor mill? Let's see what's going on here. Like I said in the news fuse, Xbox World, this is their next to last issue. So they're a magazine, and so in their big going out party, they're telling us all about the 720. There was more details about the Kinect 2.0. Now, a leaked document from Microsoft a while ago said that the Kinect 2.0 would be more accurate, better voice recognition, things you expect, and able to track 4 players at once. Microsoft's also apparently eyeing augmented reality glasses for this device. Now, it wouldn't be at launch, but apparently that's one of the additions. So it's almost like the way Xbox has Kinect. Xbox 720 would have AR glasses eventually in the future. Blu-ray's been rumored. Input and output for watching and recording television. So Nintendo, if they don't get their act together, it looks like the 720 is going to have the same thing. Innovative controller, that's the quote. Might have an HD touchscreen. Quad-core processor, 8 gigabytes of RAM. There's even a 3D mock-up right now at Xbox World. You can see all these sync buttons and
Xbox World. I know I've done this before with other leaks, particularly. They're good at the artwork.
They claim that they went with this look because it kind of mimics the Surface and the what is that called, the Vapor MG stuff. That's what it's supposed to look like.
It's supposed to look like a Surface?
Sort of. The same kind of design cues. It kind of looks like a giant Apple TV to me. But
yeah.
Well, and this is just their idea. This is not what Microsoft is putting out.
Well, from what we've heard on all these rumored specs, Ryan, do you think this sounds like a winner? Does this sound like something you'd be excited for?
Yes, as far as the hardware goes. Oh, you said Ryan and Brian, and then I jumped in.
Said
I'll
Schwoid.
let Ryan go. Go ahead.
We could both comment on this one. I actually think it would be very exciting. The hardware specifications are increases that are, I think, necessary based on the age of the Xbox 360 as we have it today. I think the mock-up looks pretty hideous, and I would hope that that's not what it looks like. But in terms of like how they would do their online strategy, keep in mind that Nintendo, they can announce all they want and they can talk about all they want, but their online presence has been close to zero for as long as they've been around. Even in the age of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, they haven't done anything. And they were attempting to do it with the Nintendo Wii, and it obviously didn't pan out very well, at least initially. I have a little bit more faith. I have a lot more faith in what Microsoft will be able to do with a next generation console in terms of collecting your TV, your movies, everything into one device in a coherent way.
Sarah, what do you... Oh, go ahead.
I actually don't mind the mock-up. I think physically it looks okay if that's how it's actually going to be. I do think that if they have to be behind the scenes making a lot of inroads to make this more than just a video game playing device, but instead the one that controls all your video media. I will make a prediction. There is no way this thing is going to be called the Xbox 720. That's a terrible, terrible name. It only means two things. It either means the lesser high-definition resolution or spinning around in circles going nowhere, both of which are terrible things to associate the Xbox brand with.
And Wii means urine to some people,
Yes,
and yet it's still the name, even in the second generation. I will bet you a bundle of celery that it is called the Xbox 720.
I'm gonna back it up right now.
I mean, 360 already means you're doing a rotation.
Yeah, well, 360 means a full panorama. You're able to see all 360
720
degrees.
means twice.
Like 2 revolutions in one. I mean, Tom, what do you think about the augmented reality glasses as a second tier thing to this?
I'd say that's likely. I'm not sure what the percentage chance is, but they're going to come out with something down the road to enhance the game console's life, right? Coming out with the new version, whatever it ends up being called, is the thing that sells it out of the gate. And you have to have all of the things that it has now, like a Kinect, and you have to improve on them. But what the Kinect did was made the Xbox 360 new again. I mean, think how old this thing is. I've lived in like 3 different places since the Xbox 360 came out. And it feels fresh because of the Kinect, because they continually refresh the line. So augmented reality glasses would be a great play if they work well to say, oh, this is the new enthusiasm in gaming. This is the new thing to keep the Xbox fresh. But I wouldn't expect it for a few years down the line, A, because augmented reality glasses aren't quite there yet, and B, because Microsoft probably wants to save it.
I mean, the Oculus Rift is coming out next month, right? And that's the one that John Carmack backed, the one that had the Kickstarter. And it's $300 unit. It's only 720p resolution device, but I mean, it's going to be out in December with 3 or 4 games supported. So I think that's going to be a little bit closer than we might think.
The Oculus looks fantastic. I mean, if you've seen I have a friend of mine who he only has one eye, but he went ahead and funded the Oculus just because he's so into the idea of that immersive, complete peripheral vision enclosure. The fact that you can see all the way around you, it doesn't look like just a floating screen in front of you.
All right, let's move on to the news fuse. We talked about OS 10 10.9 getting a little more iOS-y, Sarah.
Yeah, potentially. 9to5Mac has sources that say both Siri and Maps integration will be coming to OS 10 10.9, which is due out next year in whatever form it ends up taking. And that's interesting because for a long time, you've heard people say, well, Siri is certainly not part of OS 10, but that makes a lot of sense. So you've already got dictation, which uses a lot of the same infrastructure and the same hardware resources as Siri. That's already available, and that is available on all Macs that are capable of running Mountain Lion, which is obviously the newest version. But Siri might work a little bit differently. On iOS devices, Siri doesn't work on just any iOS device. People who have the second-gen iPad, for example, are still wondering why they can't run Siri. Nobody has a very good reason for that. So it's restricted on iOS to, excuse me, newer devices. Remains to be seen if indeed Siri was integrated into the next version of OS 10, if it would be restricted to the new iMacs, the Retina MacBook Pros. Also, Apple reportedly will be offering MapKit framework for developers, which not only means that developers can integrate Apple Maps into any app that's available in the Mac App Store, but that Apple might want to have a full-fledged Mac version of Apple Maps running on the computer.
Does that sound like a good idea?
It sounds like a good idea because what do you do right now when you want to look up something on your Mac? you type it into something into Google, and then the first result is something map related, and so you're using Google Maps.
Sure.
If Apple wants to strip out the Google Maps experience on iOS as much as possible, or certainly at least give their own native alternative, then of course they'd want to do it on OS.
But when I want to look up a map on iOS, I do the same thing now, even though I have Apple Maps. I go to Safari and I use Google Maps. Like, doesn't it? Don't they have? It should. Well, and maybe they will.
Not, I mean,
right?
but
shouldn't they wait until it works better?
Well, I mean, this isn't live yet.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't know. This is some folks saying we're familiar with what Apple's working on. I think it makes sense. I'm not saying that this is the best idea ever, but it does make sense that Apple would say, you've got all sorts of options, internet related. That's all fine and good. You can search for whatever you want, but we're going to offer you our native maps experience for OS 10, especially since we keep talking about how OS 10 and iOS, they're probably going to merge as we continue to move forward. It just makes sense for them to do that. Also, so that's potentially good news, interesting news in the realm of what's next for OS 10. Although there have been quite a few dissenters as far as Apple being able to keep their services up and running. Over the weekend, Apple had an iMessage outage, which is something that's happened a couple times over the last few months, as well as Game Center outages. Over the weekend, FaceTime was down for amount of time, as was iTunes Match. iTunes Match is kind of interesting because that's not just a free service where you're like, oh, well, if iMessage is down, then Tom and I just send each other SMS messages instead.
Right.
It's not really the end of the world. iTunes Match, you might be paying $25 a year to use it, and didn't look like it was down for very long. But still, you don't want to have outages when you've got when you're this company that's sitting on billions and billions of revenue.
And randomly, I was using my Apple TV and I noticed I hadn't activated iTunes Match on it. So last night I decided, I'll try activating iTunes Match, and of course it timed out and failed. I am, conversant enough to know, I think I read something about iTunes Match being down right now. But a lot of people would think, well, this service is crap. Why would I pay for it? Yeah.
I don't want it.
Well, the fact that Apple's had so much trouble with its cloud services, from the mobile me days to the iCloud and iTunes Match, I mean, that seems like that could be a problem. If they don't solve that before they come out with, theoretically, Siri and Maps, if they're going to have a lot of internet-based services on their operating system, unless they really limit the amount of exposure to that, it seems like they are going to run into this problem. It's almost like Apple isn't aware that these things are popular and people are using them. It's like they're doing billions of dollars in marketing. Clearly, they know that they're going to be under strain, but they don't seem to be able to handle the load yet.
All right, this episode of Tech News Today brought to you by Mailroute. Do you want maximum no spam? Do you want no spam in your inbox?
Yes.
Do you want to just strip spam away?
Yeah.
It'd be like if you order a pizza and it comes with spam on it, and you're like, I didn't order this pizza with spam, and somebody said, I will magically take all that spam off, and you don't have to pick it off yourself. That's what Mailroute does to the spam in your email. It just takes it away so you never knew it was there in the first place. You don't taste any residue of spam on the pizza that is your email. You get spam-free email, and I've tried it. It works. Mailroute has got great customer support, too, 24/7 callback. If you're on Postini, you can receive email protection services free of charge for the remainder of your Postini contract, and Mailroute will even match your current Postini pricing. And you just set it and forget it. You set a DNSMX record, and it does all the work. You don't have to keep maintaining it. You can go check the box to see if there's any false positives in, but I've never found one myself. And the new administrative interface gives you direct control over every aspect of your service. So try it out for free. Visit mailroute.net, click the sign-up button, enter the promo code TNT, and start your 15-day free trial to get 10% off the life of your account. No credit card required for the free trial. That's mailroute.net. Click the sign up button, enter the promo code TNT, and we thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Sarah, interesting acquisition today that bears on some stuff that Brian and I have talked about a lot on Frame Rate, which is that attempt to capture the second screen while you're watching TV.
Second screen app, yes. These are a variety of companies who are trying to figure out, okay, well, if you're sitting around watching TV when you've also got a computer or a tablet or your smartphone in your hand, how do we control that experience? So you're still kind of paying more attention to us and our advertisers. GetGlue is one of, I think, the first second screen sort of / check-in social TV apps that I ever used. It's been around since 2007 and has been acquired by a company called Viggle. Viggle actually launched in January this year and was originally called Function X. Changed their name about mid-year. So I didn't know that much about Viggle.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about them.
I'm quite familiar with GetGlue. They have 3.2 million registered users and a really big database of over 500 million entertainment ratings and check-ins, which obviously makes it look very attractive. Viggle has 1.2 million registered users. And the idea with Viggle is it's really just two different apps, an Android version and an iOS version that gives points for loyalty. If you are watching a show and you can sort of prove it through a variety of almost games and polls and trivia, then you get rewards that you can actually use at places like Best Buy or Amazon or Fandango, Hulu Plus, even iTunes. So the idea is that Viggle says, okay, well, we've got a variety of partners and advertisers, that sort of thing. And if you're going to be watching The Voice for an hour, well, if you're also participating with a sort of some sort of a during the show, live show poll that proves you're really watching. You're not just like, I checked into the show and then I, left the house type of a thing and no advertising will ever reach me. Then you've got a level of engagement that we're going to reward you for. And you get rewarded enough and then maybe you can get, something for free or discounted at one of your favorite stores, something at Amazon.
Like a points program, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, which is kind of funny because it's like, I don't know. We've gotten to the point now where it's like, prove that you really watched this show,
Radio
and we'll
stations
give
have been
you
doing
money.
this forever, which is, we've got the word of the day. Listen in, enter it, and then you build up points in the store at Live 105 or whatever.
I've actually never heard Live 105 do anything like that, but I believe you since you worked in radio.
I think it was Alice that was doing it.
Oh, yeah? Viggle also has some audio verification technology, so you can use it to listen to a show and it'll say, oh, I'm IDing the show that you're listening to, whether it's live or DVR'd or even online TV content from a variety of cable channels and broadcast channels. So, hey, it looks like this whole second screen thing is, I don't know. I mean, the whole proof of concept thing is, it seems to be a pretty good partnership between these two companies. Viggle wants GetGlue's large user base. That makes sense to me. Viggle is in the game of making sure that people are engaging with content and giving them rewards for doing so. GetGlue, I've always felt like it was really great service, but like, where do you go from here? Checking into the show that Tom's checking into, and then we can sort of
get stickers.
Well, that, but also, now we're socially connected. We can chat about the show from within the app. There's a variety of videos and links and photos that might surface about a show that you say that you're watching. So there's a little bit more, that you've got that extra information if you're really into the Vampire Diaries, for example, that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, I think these two companies are stronger together than separately, but I wonder about all of the other second screen apps. The GetGlues that have only been around 6 months or less. We've talked about some of them on TNT. I wonder if it's a really sort of an acquisition model. You got to be part of a bigger thing.
The whole second screen experience thing is fascinating to me because it's not a question of whether or not there's a market or an interest in a second screen experience because everyone's already doing it. They're just using their iPads and their iPhones to surf the net. The question is, what is the most engaging and on-message second screen experience, and is it something that people want to have be controlled? And I think in some ways, TWiT, at least for the type of programming that we have and the audience that we have here, is the perfect second screen experience that everyone who watches live, or most of the people who watch live, not only are watching the content as we make it, but of course participating in the chat room. And there are a lot of people like, even me, I'll turn on TWiT and I don't feel like I'm watching TWiT live properly unless I also have the chat room open to sort of, tap into the gestalt of what everybody thinks of the content right as it's being created. Now, whether or not that particular model or something like that is translatable into the living room is something that nobody knows. And so I almost feel like I'm with Sarah on this, where it's like, yeah, that's great that we're shoring up, getting a bigger company that's going to be better positioned to figure this out. But I don't know that we need fewer players in this market to crack the nut as opposed to more. I would rather see a bunch of independent companies all trying crazy things. And we'll continue to see that as new content. Of course, we see AMC, they're not using Get Glue or Viggle in order to do their second screen experience. They do everything at AMCStorySync.com. So I don't know. It's still the Wild West, and everything's casting about to figure out the right solution. But in general, I certainly would rather see more companies doing it than fewer.
Let's talk about backbone networking and why you should care about it. Wait, stop. No, keep listening. Cisco buying Meraki. It was all over the news. At first, I was ignoring it. I'm like, it's a big enterprise story. I'm not going to worry about it too much. But everybody was talking about it. I did a little digging. Here's why everybody's talking about Cisco buying Meraki. Meraki are the folks who power the free Wi-Fi, or the Wi-Fi that maybe you have to pay for, at restaurants, at schools, at government institutions. If you've been to Starbucks and used their Wi-Fi, as I mentioned, you've been to Applebee's, you've used Meraki's services. It was created at MIT's Laboratory for Computer Science back in 2006 by Sanjit Biswas, John Bickett, and Hans Robertson. They also are doing cloud management. Now, here's the key, right? They decided to launch Wi-Fi for what's called SME, small to medium enterprises, and they made it cloud controllable. So you didn't have to go out to every Starbucks to manage the Wi-Fi network there. You put the hardware and you manage it centrally. They also now provide security and mobile management, or I'm sorry, cloud management of mobile devices. So in the enterprise, if you've got a bunch of people with iPads, you can manage them centrally. Again, it's great for IT. Cisco wants to get into that business. They do the big guy stuff, but they want to be managing the network everywhere, and they know that this kind of cloud management is the new hotness, so they bought Meraki to do this. Now, Ryan, I'm curious if in the hardware world, this is a little bit, high-end enterprise, it's not really consumer stuff, but is this of any other kinds of interest? Is there anything else we should be thinking about as consumers that could be a negative or even a positive of Cisco buying Meraki?
Not really. Because Cisco bought Netgear as well, I'd say 5 years ago, and they've continued with that consumer brand pretty well. One of the things I worried when that acquisition happened was that they were going to get rid of any of the consumer level stuff and really start charging more and more for enterprise level usability and features and that kind of stuff. And they've really kind of kept forward with it. I really think Cisco is looking for ways to get into these really large networks and make sure everybody's using their hardware. And then at the same time, take advantage of those software ecosystems that they've already built to kind of push along their brand and what they can do for their customers.
It enables Cisco to make simple, secure, cloud-managed networks available to global customers, base of mid-sized businesses and enterprises, according to Rob Soderberry, Senior Vice President at Cisco Enterprise Networking Group. It is interesting to me how long it took me to wrap my head around what the hell that meant when I read it this morning, and how once you get it, it's like, oh, it's the ability for an IT guy to stay in the office and manage all of these devices and all of these Wi-Fi networks everywhere.
It's kind of like what you get at hotels, right? Where when you have a problem with your local network, you're not calling the front desk. You're calling some.
Or if you do, they just say, I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
They pass you along to the IT guy. Exactly. And then that IT guy is supposedly able to manage this. Maybe we should find out which of these hotels use Meraki and which don't, to figure out which ones have the better IT support.
See, when I saw the story, I guess the way I looked at it was like the inverse. At least Cisco didn't buy another consumer-facing brand. When they bought Flip, I was like, why did they buy this camera company, which they completely mismanaged? Or why would they go to Netgear? They don't necessarily do the best job with the consumer end. So if they're going to go and buy anything, go enterprise, because that's what you do, and that's what you do well. So for that, I'm just glad that some $1.2 billion wasn't purchased or used for some other thing to kill.
All right, let's finish up with the return of the wrath of Jacob Nielsen, design. I got his book right there, Designing Web Usability, right behind me. He had a good look at Windows 8. What does he think, Iyaz?
What's the phrase? Smothers usability. Windows 8 UI smothers usability. This story is going to a bunch of buzz. Jacob Nielsen, he regularly analyzes UI. He brought in 12 experienced PC users to try out Windows. This is Windows 8 on both PCs and Surface RT tablets. And right now the keyboard's popping up on my Windows 8 machine. Nielsen took issues with a number of points. I kind of want to just go around and see what people think of this. I'm assuming that, Ryan, you've tried out Windows 8. I know, Tom, you tried out Windows 8. I'm using Windows 8 right now. The double desktop. He says double desktop equals cognitive overhead and added memory load. Users have to remember where to go for certain features. Tom, do you find this a problem?
No, I don't, because I don't use Metro. This is my reaction to all of these things that he said here. Is they're all problems for people who try to use that tile interface on their desktop, and I just stay in the desktop interface all the time. Every once in a while, I have to search for something, and I'll press the Windows key, and I'll start typing, and I'll see the tile interface, and it's a little disconcerting. But then I find the program I was looking for, I click on it, and I'm back to the desktop interface.
But then, there's a whole area of Windows then that you just find pointless.
Exactly. That's the downside. Is like, well, what's the point of upgrading to Windows 8 unless there's a particular stability benefit, which I think there's a little bit. I certainly am not using this new interface and saying, "Ooh, there's so many cool new things."
Nielsen also took issue with lack of multiple windows. So again, not a problem for Tom because he's always in the desktop. The main UI restricts a user to a single window, so the product ought to be renamed Microsoft Window. What do you think, Ryan? Do you think that the Metro interface is that full screen experience is not good enough?
I mean, I agree with Tom. When on my desktop machine, I'm using it strictly in desktop mode, and I only see it when I hit the start button and start typing in things. But I also have a Surface RT, and I've been trying to use that on a couple of trips to, emulate. Can I make this a work machine? And the ability to only have, like, you can do side by side, but you can't make it 50-50. You kind of have to weight one heavier than the other. I would agree with that. I think that it really does kind of hinder me using it as a creation device. But if we look at tablets as consumption devices, it's no different than anything else that's out there.
Another point, there's a ton of these, but flat style reduces discoverability. Where can you click? Everything looks flat. And it's basically saying that these labels look like they're not clickable. He's actually asking for more detail in the look of these icons and things, so you know where to click. I don't know if I find that to be true at all. I mean, it seems like everything on Windows, at least the Metro side or the modern UI side, is all flat anyway. So you know where to click. You just click anywhere. I've just found this software buggy. And the weird thing is when it comes to Metro or whatever, that tiled interface, I go out of my way to stay out of it as well. Because one of the other issues with this live tile situation, where you're getting all this information, all this data up there, and I don't know what that tile is supposed to be anyway. Like, why am I seeing a picture of myself with the MiFi? Oh, that must be my contact or something. Like, I don't want to be in this thing. So I'm thinking that maybe this criticism is well deserved, but I'm just kind of curious what's going to happen after that.
I've found Windows 8 to be perfectly usable, and I don't even have to go out of my way to stay out of that tile interface. I just use the desktop, and even when I reboot, it reboots me right back into the desktop because that was the last app that I had up. It's interesting what you were saying, Ryan, about the Surface RT, because I've been using that too, but I feel about it the way I feel about tablets. I think of it as a tablet, and so I don't hold it to the same expectation as I would. Right. And so instead, my perception is like, wow, this thing's amazing because it has a desktop and I can do multiple windows at once. I can't do that in any other tablet. So I totally see what Nielsen's saying with that cognitive overhead. But I think that's a criticism of any tablet right now, Android, iOS, or Windows. It's just when you're on the desktop, that's a whole different matter.
Right.
Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Engadget has a story today about Project Inverted, a PC gaming case that is inside out. Martin Lamon is the one behind this. It's highlighted by Asus. And he basically put his motherboard, his processor, his cooling, his memory, his video card, his water cooling pipes on the outside of the case and hid the wires connecting them on the inside of the case. Ryan, does it make you shudder or does it make you salivate or somewhere in between?
It's really cool looking. Just don't stick your finger in those fans, I guess. don't have kids or cats around.
Yeah, Brushwood, would you use this in your?
This is shockingly close to already what my computers look like. I don't think I've put I don't think I've put the sides on a computer for maybe 5 years now. Like all of my computers just have the sides barely resting on them right now. So yes, I think this is great.
It's just basically taking what you do normally and cleaning it up a little.
Yeah, just hide the wires.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the calendar.
Salesforce has earnings tomorrow. That is November 20th. And looking forward to December, support for the Messages beta app on Lion will be pulled by then.
So you had to have Mountain Lion.
That's right.
To use the Messages.
And even then, it doesn't work that well. So
to be mad at the outage, you have to have Mountain Lion.
Correct.
All right, starting December 14th.
Yes.
On to the incoming.
Incoming message.
Got a voicemail with a couple of notes. What do you have to say to us, voicemailers?
Hello, TNT. This is Dee from Glasgow. 2 wee points. First one is, I don't know what it's like in America with your insurance. Paid to make a journey, that counts as business and it invalidates your insurance. So services like Lyft and Sidecar would require you to have a different set of insurance for your vehicle. I have no idea about America. Your mileage may vary, as they say. The second point is, we've not heard who's playing Steve Jobs in the Steve Jobs film with Aaron Sorkin. Maybe nobody's playing Steve Jobs. How about the entire thing is shot from the perspective of Steve Jobs? Kind of like gonzo porn, but without Scott Forstall being naked. All right, thanks. Love the show. Blah, blah, blah. Bye.
Yeah, I think it's because Sorkin's still writing it. They haven't gotten into the casting yet. Because Ashton Kutcher is in the unauthorized movie. He's not in the Aaron Sorkin one.
The idea of a first-person perspective on that would be terrifying, I'd imagine, because the Aaron Sorkin stuff's all walking around. It's going to get motion sickness, I'd imagine.
It's it's like what's the movie I'm thinking of? Help me out, Schwood. The one.
Which one?
Where you crawl inside the guy's brain. Maybe it's going to be.
Being John Malkovich.
Thank you, Being John Malkovich. Yeah, exactly. It's Being Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I was thinking more like the
crawl into his brain.
The Prodigy Smack My Bitch Up video, where it's like at the end you find out it's not Steve Jobs at all, but instead some chick.
Being Steve Jobs. All right, let's finish up with an email.
I got an email from Anthony. He's here to respond to a voicemail about Amazon discontinuing monthly Prime memberships. He believes Amazon did this because a bunch of people would pay $8 and get free shipping during the holiday season. Amazon would lose a bunch of money in one of the greatest seasons for retail. Just his thoughts. And we got that voicemail a couple of days ago saying that Amazon discontinued their monthly Prime service, and that was confirmed later on in the press everywhere. So thanks to our voicemailers for giving us that information first.
Cool. Thanks, Anthony, for the email. And thanks to you guys for watching or listening. And thanks to our guest, Ryan Shrout, PC Perspective at PCPer.com. And, of course, host of This Week in Computer Hardware right here on TWiT. Anything else to tell folks about?
I'm going to try to take apart the Wii U controller as soon as the show is over.
Awesome.
We'll the only part I didn't get to.
Keep an eye on that, PCPer.com, P-E-R. And Brian Brushwood, of your many and fantastic enterprises, anything in particular to call out for folks?
Only one. That's the fantastic show called Frame Rate I host with one Tom Merritt. He's a hell of a guy. You should definitely check it out. Tonight, or I guess today at, 3 p.m. Pacific, right?
Yeah, exactly. Scott Wilkinson will be joining us in studio. We've got an interview with the director of the Rootkit movie that's up on Kickstarter, so all kinds of cool stuff coming up.
I'll tell you what, man. Frame Rate is way smarter than we give it credit for. It's a really good show. If you haven't tried it on
than both of us.
That's the two of us formed together to put be a two-legged Voltron, and then that's all there is. We become Frame Rate.
Thanks to the folks at our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com, for submitting stories for our consideration. Helps us put together the lineup every day. You can find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. You can email us. Our email address is tnt@twit.tv. And give us a call, leave us a voicemail, 260-TNT-SHOW. David Pierce joins us tomorrow. We'll see you then.